Julie's Wreath Boutique. I did it. I finally did it, guys. I made you a wreath with only Deco mesh. So let's get started. I'm going to show you how to do this. This takes more petals than the traditional poly burlap wreath. For instance, for the first layer, we used 25 cuts of 10-inch mesh. For the second layer, we used 30 cuts of the 10-inch mesh. Sorry about that. And then for the middle, we used 16 cuts of the 10-inch mesh. Say that fast, and it's a mouthful. So, but I'm also really excited about this center. This is a new gilded center, and I'm going to show you how you can make one as well. So let's get started. Okay, so we're going to use Deco mesh. I have not made a full wreath in just Deco mesh for you. I'm not always a fan of Deco mesh, and that's just a preference thing. I've always used it in conjunction to like a poly burlap or a fabric mesh, but today we're going to do just a simple Deco mesh wreath, and I only have one roll of this. It's like a rose gold. I don't know that anybody has this in stock. I'm just kind of using what I have on hand to make a wreath and kind of demonstrate it. So use the colors that you can get. I'm going to leave my links for Trendy Tree and the Wreath Shop. They do sell Deco mesh, and I do feel like the quality is better than what you could find at, like, say, your local craft store. I'm not sure why that is, but it's just the way it is. And they're usually about $4 a roll, $4 to $5 a roll, so which is a decent price too. So I'm going to cut all of this with the wood burner. And because we're using Deco mesh, we're going to need to use more cuts of this when we're putting it together on our 10-inch wreath form. So I'm going to get busy. I'm going to cut all this. I will show you really quickly how to cut it with the wood burner if you've missed that. But I just wanted to show you what we're going to use. I'm not sure that I'm going to use both rolls of these, but I probably will cut into a second roll of this cream colored Deco mesh. So let's get started. So it's really easy to cut the mesh. I know that you can't see it as well on camera like I do my poly burlap, but this is a piece of glass. It's a glass cutting board. I have these in my Amazon shop, and the link for my Amazon shop will be in the description box below. So you're just going to take your wood burner, and you're going to wear a mask when you do this because it does put off fumes. And I know that you can't see it, but I'm trying my best to stay within the two little squares in the line of the mesh. So I kind of had to go a little bit that direction when I did that. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut the mesh, and that will give me 10-inch squares, and then we can move on to the next part. Okay, so I have some petals made over here, so I'm going to show you what we're going to do. Because this is Deco mesh, it does not hold its shape quite the way like a burlap mesh would. So we're going to kind of change the way how many pieces of petals and how many like sets we're going to put on this 10-inch wreath frame. This is a 10-inch wreath frame. I get it from consumercrafts.com. They're $1.57. And then I just add some plastic canvas. This is the 5 mesh. You can use the 7 mesh. I just prefer this 5 mesh because it's a bigger hole and it's just easier to go through. The zip ties that I really like on my Amazon shop are smaller and would fit in that 7 mesh. So that's what I have. You can find this stuff at your local craft stores. I did have it in my Amazon shop. I believe I took it down because honestly, they just wanted way too much for one piece of mesh. So you can find that at consumercrafts.com as well. All right, so we're going to take our mesh here, and what we're going to do is we are going to make sets. Okay, so like right here is a set of a petal, and it's 2 pieces put together. And you can either do this one of 2 ways. You can make your sets ahead of time, take a 4-inch zip tie and secure it and then add it to your frame. Or if you want to, you can just do it and put it right on the frame without adding that extra zip tie. I like to do this beforehand because when I'm putting the wreath together, it just goes a little quicker for me. And then this way, the reason why I'm putting 2 together is that you'll use the less 8-inch zip ties. So we're just kind of trying to cut back on the number because we will use more Deco mesh than we would normally use of poly burlap. Okay, so I'm done talking about that. All right, so you're going to take your 10-inch by 10-inch, and as of recent, I've been telling you guys, make sure your finished edge is at the bottom and your finished edge is at the top, and then we're going to meet in the middle, and we're going to gather. Okay, so we're going to take our little bow tie petal, is what I call it, and I'm going to flip it over, And I'm going to do that petal where I show you, it's just my basic petal fold here, where you just put the left petal over the right petal, okay? And then I like to kind of flatten it out and pull up on it a little bit. At this point, you can either hold this in your hand, but I'm going to just set this to the side with my little clip. And then I'm going to do it again. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to meet in the middle, gather, flip, and then just lay it so that it's one petal is over top of the other. Now this is where I'm going to put them together. All right. And I want my petals to have this look, this finished look, one on top of each other. I'm going to take a 4-inch zip tie, and I did buy some of these and they're really thin. I'm not going to recommend them. So I haven't found a 4-inch zip tie on Amazon yet that I really like. So stay tuned on that one. Eventually I'll find one I like and I can recommend that to you. Okay, so that is your petal. I like the way that it has the finished edges showing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my frame here, and we are going to put 2 sets of the double petals inside the frame. Okay, so we have bar 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to work on bar 2. And so I'm just going to take an 8-inch zip tie. I'm going to put it right here. So normally we would have just put 2 petals of the poly burlap in here. And now essentially what we're doing is we're doing 2 double petals. So that's 4 pieces of mesh versus poly burlap's 2 pieces of mesh. So I've got one there, and I'm going to take another one and take one that I've already made here, and I'm going to put it right beside it. I'm going to try to keep them spaced out pretty good. All right, so I'm going to make sure I lift this finished edge over top of the unfinished edge side. Now, if you wanted to, you could, if you wanted to put these on individually, go right ahead. It's really up to you, whatever's easiest for you. But you are going to use 4 petals in between the brackets. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to put 2 more of the double petals. Let me move some of these away here. Okay, so now I have the 2 on this side, and you can kind of see this one's being a little wonky. I know that's not really a word, but that's a word for me. So I'm going to go like on the opposite side of where I put the original zip tie, and this will help straighten it out. So we're doing like a cross. Why can't I see that? Oh, there we go. Okay. And what it will do is it will straighten it out. See? So I had one zip tie going this way and one zip tie going that way, and it will straighten your petal out. So I do get that question a lot. Why are my petals going different directions? Well, you just might need to add another zip tie, and that will help solve the issue. So at this point on the cross brackets, we're just going to put a single petal. So what I'm going to do is just take our piece of mesh, and we're going to do that gathering and do the same thing. And at this point, you really don't need to, you know, put a little zip tie there. You can just, you know, do it yourself. And so let me show you. I'm going to show you where I'm going to put this zip tie. I'm trying to do this while I'm holding this, and it's not really that helpful. But you've seen me do this before if you've watched me over time. See where I put that? See how it picks up Deco mesh? And so I'm just going to put it right on that. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to need 25 cuts of Deco mesh for the first layer of wreath petals. And like for this one, I'm going to put another zip tie over there. But then that way we're filling in any little gaps, but we're getting a really pretty look. And I really like the way that's looking. So hold on. I'm going to put 2, 2, and 2 of the double petals, and then 1 single petal on each of the brackets, and I will be back and we will work with the next color. Okay, so we have our first layer done, and on the first layer we used 25 cuts of 10-inch, and we did double petals on the inside of the frame and then single petals on the brackets. Now, the next set of petals, we're going to do it a little differently because I want to make sure that we can cover all of this. We don't want the frame to show. We want it to be, we also want the color in the next row to really pop. And so what I'm going to do is you're going to use 30 cuts of 10 inches, okay? So you did 25 on the first. And then that translates to 2 double petals and 1 single petal, okay, on each section. And then we're going to do 30 cuts of this. And so all we're going to do now is we're going to make the double petals. And then we are going to add it in between each and every petal here. Even if it's a single petal like this one, and there's a double petal here and a double petal here, I'm still putting double petals on each of them, okay? And we're going to do it on bar 3. So you got bar 1, 2, and 3. And that's what we're going to do. So you're going to take your, in case you missed it from the last time, you're just going to take your petal and you're going to form it. And really, let me tell you, Deco mesh from different rolls, they just react differently. So like this felt a little bit stiffer. This wasn't as stiff. So it's just kind of, Deco mesh has a mind of its own. That's the way I would put it. So we're going to make one. I'm going to use my little chip clip. You can find these at the Dollar Tree. Okay. And then I'm just going to take another piece and make another petal here. And then I'm just going to add them together. Now at this point, you can put a little zip tie here. I'm just going to do that because it's easier to show you guys exactly what I'm doing. And I like to be very clear. If you've noticed with my videos, I want you to be able to feel like when you're done watching one of my videos that you can make this. And that's really important to me. I don't want you to feel like, oh, I just couldn't tackle that. Yes, you can do this. It's not as hard as it looks. It might be time consuming, but sometimes making something beautiful is worth the time invested. So I'm just going to take my zip tie and I'm going to put it underneath that bar 3 there, okay? I'm going to take my double petal and I'm just going to secure it. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to keep going around the whole frame until we have it filled. And we're going to have 15 sets of these double petals, which means translates to 30 cuts. And I almost put that on backwards, but that's almost pretty too. You could do that either way. You could do it. You could just make it look beautiful. Now, a lot of people ask, what do you spray your wreath? I don't spray all of my wreaths, but like for this Deco mesh wreath, I will test it first to make sure that it takes the spray. But I do use a Rust-Oleum clear matte acrylic spray. And what that will do is it will just kind of seal it a little bit for you. And it will also hopefully slow down the fading process. And the bottle does say UV resistant. It's not going to cure the fading. You know, if you put a wreath outside in the direct sun, it's going to fade. That's just the nature of what happens to things like that. So as you can see, I'm going in between each petal. It doesn't matter if it's a double petal or if it's a single petal. I'm putting these pre-made petals that I had already done for you guys right in between. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this and we will be right back on to the next step. Okay, so we're going to work on the middle section of our wreath. And I'm going to just take my zip tie and about 1 inch in from that last bar, bar 4, I'm going to put my first zip tie, okay? So the bar 4 is about right here, and there's where my zip tie is. So I'm going to take one of the, I'm going to keep doing the same process throughout this whole wreath. This is just a basic petal wreath, and I just wanted to do it all in Deco mesh. And so I'm going to just add it right here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep going how well it covers, because we're not going to put any single petals in here. I'm going to put the next zip tie over and I'm going to show you. Okay, so here's the first zip tie, and then there's 1 square in between the next zip tie that I put in. So we're just going to make a really quick petal here, and I'm just going to show you how I do it pretty quickly. It doesn't take a lot of time. But this is a little different, guys. This is, you're using a lot more cuts of mesh. The price difference between a poly burlap and this would be about the same in cost. So it's really kind of up to you. If you really like that Deco mesh look, I know a lot of people do. Okay, so see, I've made it. I'm not even going to zip tie it. I'm just going to put it right in there. all right? But I know that a lot of people love the Deco mesh. I feel like sometimes it's a little bit of a softer look. I think that this sort of wreath would be pretty at a wedding, you know, that sort of thing too. But if you really want the expert on Deco mesh flower wreaths, you need to check out my girl, Michelle Noble of A Noble Touch Crafts here on YouTube. I'm going to link her in the description box below. And if you want some good videos to watch, I want you to go check her out. So I'm just going to keep doing. Okay, so we're going to get on the center, and we're doing something totally different. I've never showed you this before. We're going to use a gilded center. And so what I'm going to do, as you can see, there's already a little piece there. But first thing first, I want to make sure that we put the backing on this center so that we can put it on our wreath. Okay, so we're just going to do the same thing with our wire. We're going to put some fluoro pens. That's what a fluoro pen looks like. They're in my Amazon store. And we're just going to put some down to kind of go over that. And then I'm just going to take a piece of felt. I probably should like maybe make this a little bit smaller. Okay, that'll work. I'm going to put some glue on it. All right. So I had to put some more glue in my glue gun because it wasn't out. So let me put some more glue here. Put a little bit of glue on those. And you just lay your felts. Always leave some of those felt scraps because you're going to need them, you know. And then I'm just going to put some pins through that glue. Just give it a little bit more security. Oops, got my finger there. All right, so I'm going to let this dry, and then I'll come back and show you what we're going to do for the top. Okay, so for the center, we're going to use something called Gilded. You can see there. I bought this from Hobby Lobby probably a year and a half ago. This is how long I've been sitting on this. It is $9.99 for a packet of this, but I did use my coupon, so I know I only paid $6 for this, and I really don't think we're going to use a ton of it. So I think you could get many centers out of this. So this is what I'm going to use it on. You could use it on a piece of wood, piece of glass, but I'm going to use what I have. So we're going to use this styrofoam, which I believe is almost 4 inches in diameter. It's just a little bit under the 4-inch mark. And I've cut it in half. So I'm just going to put some Mod Podge on my plate. This is the matte. I think if I had the glossy Mod Podge, I think I would like it even better. Just a little tip there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a brush, and we are just going to, and you're going to get this all over yourself or your finger. So just know that this is going to be an issue for you, okay? So we're just going to kind of do a section at a time. And I'm going to just put some Mod Podge on it. Okay, and then I'm going to take another brush. If you had one of those circular brushes like that where it's a flat top, it might get more on here. But I'm just going to use the brush I have because it's what I have. Okay, and I'm going to just kind of put it in the bag there, and I'm just going to press this down, and I'm just going to keep doing this. And you're probably going to need to go back over some areas with some more. Like that's a big, okay. My herd of elephants are upstairs again. Did you guys hear that? I've talked about the herd of elephants, and those would be my children. But this is real life. I'm a mom, and they're home. So we're going to deal with it. All right. So if you hear my herd, you know what I'm talking about. Now, this brush is getting a few hairs from the brush in there, so I'm like, kind of frustrated with that. But this has gold, and it has like that brassy color or bronzy color. And I think this will be really pretty with the rose gold and the cream. So I'm just going to keep doing this. I'm going to go all the way through here, and it is going to take you a little bit of time. But see the look that you're creating? You're just going to have to go back over and, you know, make sure you hit all the parts. And you could even paint this if you wanted to paint this like a gold color, just to kind of, you know, didn't want to lose some of that color, or if you had a few spots. you could do that too. So I'm gonna keep doing that and I'll come back and I'll show you the last step. Okay, so this is after the first coat of all of it. As you can see, it does make a little bit of a mess, but you know what? If you're not making a mess, you're not crafting, you know. And if you can do crafting without making a mess, you need to come to my house and let me know your secrets, okay? Because it's hard for me. So I need to let this dry now. So you can either just let this sit. I'm impatient. I will probably set this in front of my hair dryer and I will be back when it's dry. Okay, you know that that saying, when you deal with glitter, it's everywhere. Well, this stuff is going to be everywhere on me today. So I just took my hair dryer and I just sprayed it really good. So now I'm just going to kind of press everything in because we have some like flyaways. So at this point, you're going to put another layer of the Mod Podge on. Now, if you want to leave it like this and say you're going to use this, I'm going to put this up closer. If you were going to use this inside and you weren't going to put it outside, I'd say just leave it. But in case somebody wants to put this outside, I want to put another layer of protection over it. So I'm going to just kind of try to clean up my brush here. Add some more Mod Podge to my paper plate. Well, that was a little generous of you, Julie. Okay, I'm not going to need all that. And you're just going to simply just dab it. You don't want to take off the gilding, but you do just want to put a layer on it to kind of keep it on. See, if you do too much, you're going to bring it up. So just put a little bit, be kind of sparingly here. And then you're just going to let it dry. And then we'll be back once this is dry. And like I said, I think if I had the glossier Mod Podge, I think that I would prefer that for this, but I only have the matte. So I'm just going to use what I have, but maybe next time I will try the glossy. Okay, so we've finished this. I kind of used the hair dryer to dry it, so I would probably let it dry a little bit longer, but I'm an impatient person and I want to get it done. So anyways, let's get this done. We're just going to put this through the center here. And I just think this is kind of a different center. I think it looks pretty with these colors. I know that you could get just all silver or all gold or all kind of a brassy or bronzy color. So I'm just going to look at this and move it over a little bit and just twist it really good. Now, what do you do for the back of your wreaths, Julie? Well, what I do is I'll cut this off and stick them back in there. And I've already pre-cut a round piece of felt, and I will just put holes and attach it to the bars of the wreath form with little zip ties. And you can still hang your wreath from the bars itself, but let's just look at this. Now, if you look here, you might have to kind of arrange some of your petals to make sure that that covers everything. But as you can hear, my little herd is upstairs doing something. But I think it's really pretty. I think that that is something different. I've been wanting to do this video for you guys for a long time. With the Deco mesh, like I've told you before, it has a mind of its own. So you're just going to have to play with your petals. It likes to stick together a lot. But, you know, just play with it and get it the way you want it. Now, I got this mesh a while ago, I believe at Trendy Tree. And so I don't believe they have this rose gold in stock right now, but they will eventually. So just keep checking. So I'm going to leave my links for the Trendy Tree and the Wreath shop down below. I want you to join my Wreath group called Wreath Creators and More. If you enjoy this tutorial, I have premium tutorials that I sell. All those links are in the description. Join me over on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, all that good stuff to follow to see what I do next. So if you made it this far, thank you so much. And if you will leave me, let's see, what kind of an emoji should we do this time? I'm trying to think. Let's do a flower emoji. So any kind of flower emoji, I would really appreciate it. So I will catch you guys next time on Julie's Wreath Boutique. Until then, create something beautiful. Bye-bye.